Hello there. Hello. Welcome. Welcome. I am live from Berlin, Germany. And when I got here, I thought that I'd be able to have like a city view behind me, but it didn't work out. It's just a lot of light and it was looking a little crazy. But one of the interesting things I noticed here is that you can open the window and there's no screen, there's nothing there. You could literally jump out the window, throw something out the window. I'm from New York. You would never see that in New York or or in Atlanta where I live now. So it's just so interesting when we get to experience other cultures and other countries and see how so many things are the same, but just so many things are also different. So I'm going to end this live stream a little bit early today because I'm actually going to run out of here for a spa service. I'm traveling this week, so I'm going to run and get myself a massage. But I want to get into this topic. So, in my newsletter on Monday, I talked about surrender and detachment. And those are two of just my favorite topics. I go on about mind blowing happiness because it has absolutely changed my life. These 12 steps that I've learned over many years of studying. The first five steps I talk about are really foundational, but when we get into surrender and detachment is step seven, surrender is step eight. So that's like when we're really getting into like your master's degree in happiness. We're getting into concepts that are a little bit more deeper. So, can they lead you closer to love and happiness? So, that's the first thing that I want you to think about. Hopefully, you've thought a little bit about the ideas, but I'll get into them a little bit more as I get into the topic today. And then, yesterday, when I posted, I was thinking, we hear a lot of things about patriotism and you should love your country and you should treat your flag this way. And I'm just like, I've never been in a place where I'm like, oh, I love my country. I love people. I love people, and it doesn't matter what country they are in. I love human beings. I love humanity. I love ideas like freedom and equality and justice and hope. I love people, and I don't think it matters where they are. So the other day, I got a little bit of wisdom from my daughter, who is a Gen Z, and I was telling her, I wouldn't mind living overseas. I think about it from time to time. And what she said to me is, home is really where the people who love you are. And I thought that was something that we could kind of hold in our hearts and start off with that. As I travel out here and I've been different places, it's interesting how it's all the same. People are the same. People want to be free from suffering. People want to be happy, and people want all those things in the 12 steps to mind-blowing happiness. They want healing. They want that spiritual connection. They want community. They want to have a sense of authenticity if they live in a society where they are even able to do that. So anyway, if any of that sounds interesting, today is your day. We're talking about surrender, detachment, home, and happiness. So, welcome to Mind Blowing Thursdays. My name is Trish Ajel Roberts. I'm a transformational leadership coach, corporate well being strategist, keynote speaker, and 4-time author. And Mind Blowing Thursday is a space for women leaders to catch a breath and walk away with tools to use on your journeys as leaders and as human beings, right? Human beings who are striving to get better. You would not be here if you were not striving to get better. So I know that you are definitely striving to get better. And if you are totally my people. So let's get into this. We're talking about surrender, detachment, and other ideas to love, like justice, freedom, home, whatever comes to your mind that feels good and juicy. Um, so let's go ahead and catch your breath together. So come to a comfortable seat, bring your palms to touch, generate a little warmth here. And then take your right hand, cover your heart, take your left hand to your belly button. This is a wonderful way to check in anytime that you feel like maybe you're stressed or you need some grounding. What you're doing when you're in this posture is you're actually activating the Reiki energy in your palms, and then you're placing that energy on your body. So it sounds a little technical, but you're kind of just giving yourself a good hug, right? So, right hand to the heart, left hand to the belly button. See if you can notice the beat of your heart. See if you can notice the rise and fall of the breath at the belly. And then go ahead, inhale through the nose, let the belly fill. And then exhale, release it with a sigh. And we're just going to do that two more times. So inhale through the nose, let the belly fill. And exhale with a sigh, release it. And the last one, this time we're going to do a little differently. So inhale through the nose, let the belly fill. When you get to the top, see if you can take just another sip of air. So it might feel a little uncomfortable but when you get there, see if you can hold it. So hold the breath, hold hold it, and then release it with the loudest sigh yet. And I know depending on where you are, you can't do all the super loud sighing. But if you're someplace where you can sigh it out, that's great. That actually helps you, calms the nervous system. If you can't, it's fine. You can do it without the sighing. But if you have a place where you're private, like maybe in your car sometimes and you're stressed out, that's a nice way to just kind of check in with yourself and calm your nervous system. Before we start, I want to talk a little bit about leaders because a lot of times we think of leaders as like corporate executives or entrepreneurs like me, but leaders show up in all kinds of spaces. So it could be if you are a parent, if you are a role model, if you hold leadership positions in your community. So when I talk about women leaders, I'm talking about all of us who have people who are looking up to us and people who are following us. So even when we think of influencers, anyone with a platform, we're all leaders. All right, so let's get into this concept here. So we're talking about, for a second, I was like, where'd my book go? I'm going to read something from my book, The Anger Myth. So we're talking about detachment and surrender. And if know 12 steps to mind-blowing happiness, those are two of the steps. But a lot of people don't know that they are also in my book, The Anger Myth. So in this book, it touches on all 12 steps very quickly. So I'm going to share a little bit of that with you. And just so you know, sometimes people think the anger myth is all about anger, and they say, oh, well, I don't have a problem with anger, so this is not the book for me. The subtitle is Understanding and Overcoming the Mental Habits That Steal Your Joy. And what this book really dives deeply into are subtle variations of anger that we all have. We all have it. We all have all the variations of it, and it becomes a matter of what do you do with it. So in the book, it's called The Seven Cranky Cousins. Seven cranky cousins, and they are cranky. Disappointment, annoyance, frustration, jealousy, impatience, guilt, and resentment. So they're all subtle variations of anger. They all get in the way of joy. You might even think of it as two sides of the coin, right? All those negative emotions on one side and the more joyful emotions on the other side. Right? Peace and love and confidence and all the things that we really want. But if we give a lot of meaning to the negative emotions, we can really get stuck there and stay there. So the work that I do is helping you to work through that. And it's not repressing anything. It's not allowing you to feel how you feel, right? We all have our feelings and that's fine. But it is allowing you to know what to do with those feelings so that you can get to the place that you want to go, whatever that looks like for you. So I'm going to read from page 133. And so it starts off talking about can you make yourself happier? This is from chapter 9 in the book. It's called Build Empathy as a Happiness Strategy. So it talks first about empathy, and who knows, that might be my topic for Monday, the way that this is going. But then it talks about can you make yourself happier? And in here, I share some data that my mentor, Marcy Shimoff, shares in her book, Happy for No Reason. And she says that based on positive psychology researchers, 50% of your happiness comes from your genetics. In other words, you're born with a particular happiness set point. And the good news is that only 10% comes from circumstances like wealth, relationship status, or career choice. This is so important because the profoundly good news is that 40% of your happiness is determined by the things you do, and those things can be changed with practice, right? And what we're doing now is some of the practice. Okay, so here, when I talk about, I put healthy detachment on this in this book because I know that people get confused about detachment. Remember, this is the master's level happiness stuff. So sometimes we think detachment, oh, that's a bad thing. I'm detached. I'm not connected with my emotions. So we're talking about healthy detachment, which is the ability to accept change, live in the present, not the past, and enjoy people and possessions without clinging tightly in fear. So there was a lot in there. I'm going to read that one more time. So, healthy detachment is the ability to accept change. Important. Why? Because things are always changing. So, if you can't accept change, you're going to always be miserable, right? Things are always changing. We're getting older. The kids are getting older. Businesses open and close. Governments change. Political leaders come and go. You start a job, you finish a job, your job change. There's always something changing. The seasons change. Everything changes. So, healthy detachment is the ability to accept change, live in the present, not the past. And I would even say, I didn't put it here, but not the future. Sometimes we're so worried about what's going to happen in the future that we're not in the present. And healthy detachment is allowing you to enjoy people. I am I'm here in the hotel room and my bestie is right over there. Like, I think she's sleeping. I think she didn't get enough sleep last night. I think she's sleeping. But enjoy people and enjoy your stuff. I got this today. You can have your things, but not so much that, like, oh my gosh, if I lose this, it's the end of the world. Nothing is the end of the world. Everything is going to change. So you're not clinging on to the people and the ideas and the possessions with that anxiety and that fear. All right, that was a whole talk right there. All right, so the next part I'm going to read from The Anger Myth, page 133. I'm in the section, Can You Make Yourself Happier? Is touching on this idea of surrender. Now, surrender, I think, is a little bit of an easier concept because it's very similar to the concept of faith in Christianity, and most people are familiar with some Christian concepts. So I describe it here as the ability to speak your intentions to your understanding of God or the universe and to have faith. So you can think of it as, when you pray, right? You're speaking your intentions to the universe and you have faith that um, they will be honored or they will be acknowledged. There's faith that things will work through. We may not always understand exactly how, but there is this belief system. For me, surrender is something that I'm always working on. I'm a kind of a low key control freak type person. Like, I usually like to control things. And so I really have to work on letting things go, on having that faith, that belief that I don't have to do everything myself, that there is a benevolent universe or God, whatever that looks like for you. I use all kinds of words for myself. But there is that sense of spirit that um, can support me. So I'll read this one more time. Surrender, the ability to speak your intentions to your understanding of God or the universe, and to have faith. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I have a quote that I'm going to read, and then we're going to go into a few minutes of meditation. So this is a quote that I share in 12 Steps to Mind-Blowing Happiness. It is from, I'm going to ruin this, but it's Ali bin Abi Talib. And I want to say, if I recall, that he was a prince, but it's a lovely quote. Detachment is not that you should own nothing, but that nothing should own you. Detachment is not that you should own nothing, but that nothing should own you. All right, so let's get into a few minutes of meditation here. So, wherever you are, come to a comfortable seat. And then just go ahead, let's take a breath. Go ahead and take the shoulders up to the ears. Let's bring them back and down. Let's do that one more time. Shoulders up to the ears, bring them forward and down. For today, let's plant the hands flat down on the knee. You can have your eyes closed, or if you want to have them open, that's fine. Just keep a unfocused gaze about 2 feet in front of you. So whatever feels good and safe for you with your eyes is perfectly fine. You do want to have a straight back. And then imagine that the crown of your head is warm and relaxed. So release that. Release the forehead. If there's any lines there, let that become a smooth blank canvas. Relax the jaws, the mouth, the throat, the shoulders, and relax the chest, the belly, the upper arms, forearms, and the hands. And then relax the hips, the buttocks, the thighs. Relax the calves. And then just scan the body from head to toe and see if there's anything that you need to release or relax. And then once you're there, bring your awareness to the breath right at the tip of the nostrils. And see if you can focus on just that one thing, the sensation of air as it enters and leaves the body right at the tip of the nostrils. If you find your mind wandering, just bring it right back to the breath, noticing that sensation of air. You might notice it's cooler on the inhalation, warmer on the exhalation. See if you can notice. If you find your mind wandering, just redirect it back to the breath with love and compassion, as if you were talking to a child or your partner, someone that you love, because you're talking to yourself. Just stay there for a few more breaths, breathing normally, being curious, noticing that sensation right at the tip of the nostrils. And take a couple more seconds here to just enjoy that feeling of peace. And then when you're ready, gently release your concentration and slowly rise from your meditation. If your eyes were closed, open them slowly. All right. And remember, that's accessible to you anytime. You can take a 1 minute meditation, 2 minutes, Whatever time you have to just slow down, bring your awareness to the breath, use the breath as your anchor. It doesn't have to be very complicated. So I hope you enjoyed a few minutes there. So I always like to give you an actionable step that you can take into the rest of the week or the weekend with you. And I was thinking, when you think of people who leave their countries of birth, like my parents, like immigrants all around the world, like maybe me one day if I decide that I want to be a digital nomad or go live someplace else. When you think of people who leave their countries of birth, where do you think of as their home? Is their home where they're from? Do they build a new home where they are? Is the home where they give birth to their children or where they volunteer in the community? Is the home where you have a little dog or a cat? I don't know. But it was just something I was thinking about. So when you think of people who leave the countries of their birth, where is their home? And then I have one more question today. What does healthy detachment mean to you? What does healthy detachment mean to you? There was a story that I mentioned in Monday's newsletter that I had read in a book and related so well to my life, um, where these two friends were having like this business meeting once a week, and they were doing it over chai, and they enjoyed the chai, but then it got to the point where they were like obsessed with the chai. They couldn't wait to get the chai. And if they didn't get the chai, they were mad. They couldn't, or if the chai was too cold or the chai wasn't right, it became a problem. So they got attached to the chai instead of like the time together. We see this, I think, a lot with like alcohol, like you can't have fun without it, right? So just something to think about. What does healthy detachment mean to you? What can you release? All right. So we're going to close out with a few breaths together again. Rub your palms together. Now we're professionals. Right hand to the heart, left hand to the belly button. Inhale through the nose, let the belly fill. Exhale with a sigh. Again, inhale through the nose. Exhale with a sigh. Last time, inhale through the nose. Let the belly fill. Hold it at the top. Hold it. Hold it. Sigh it out. And if you're not getting my newsletter, Mind Blowing Monday 123, I encourage you to go ahead and sign up. You'll get one quote, two questions, and three ways to lead with joy for the upcoming week. You can register on my website at trishajelroberts.com or right here on LinkedIn. Go ahead and have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm going to have a wonderful rest of my evening over here in Berlin, Germany, and go grab myself a nice little massage at the spa. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.